What's up guys, Saf here on SuperSaf TV, and inside this bag we have the brand new 2018 iPad Pro with a bunch of accessories as well. Let's not waste any time and let's go ahead and get it unboxed. And here's everything that we're going to be taking a look at today. All of these items are sold separately, so do bear that in mind. But firstly, let's check out the iPad Pro. And here it is. You can see that the picture of the iPad with this pretty dope wallpaper takes up all of the box front. And we do have the top of the line iPad Pro. It is the 12.9-inch version with Wi-Fi and cellular. You can get it with Wi-Fi only, starting at 64 gigabytes. And there is also an 11-inch version, but we did want to go for the big one, of course. Let's open this up. There it is. Wow, that is so thin. Let's have a look at what else we get inside the box. A quick start guide, some safety information, some Apple stickers, these are in white, and we've also got a SIM card ejector tool because this is a cellular version. I don't believe the Wi-Fi version is going to come with this. And then we have the power brick as well as a USB Type-C to USB Type-C cable. So this power brick has a USB Type-C input, and then the cable is USB Type-C on both sides. And that is of course because the 2018 iPad Pro has USB Type-C. We're going to be looking at some of the advantages of having USB Type-C a little bit later. Right, now let's get to this bad boy. We'll get rid of this plastic. I have the space gray version, of course. There is also a silver version available, but I'm so glad that I've got the space gray version. It looks so slick. And the first thing I have to say, holding it in hand, is this thing is so thin. It's around 5.9 millimeters, which is thinner than an iPhone. That's crazy. Of course, it is a metal build, and we've got these antenna lines here at the top and bottom. This may be because this is the cellular version. I'm not sure if the Wi-Fi version will also have these antenna bands. Right, now let's switch this on to see one of the biggest improvements that we've got on the 2018 iPad Pro, and that is this 12.9-inch display with much smaller bezels than what we've had previously. Now what this essentially means is that you're getting the very large 12.9-inch display in a smaller form factor. Now we do have these small bezels all around, and a few of you guys will be saying in the comments, oh, it's not an all-screen design because we do have these bezels. And I've said this many times before, when you're using a tablet, you actually need those bezels because you need somewhere to hold. It's not like a smartphone where you can hold the sides. You do need to be holding the front when you're handling a tablet like an iPad. So in my opinion, in terms of screen to body ratio for a tablet, this is ideal. Now you may have noticed that because of these smaller bezels, we no longer have a physical home button with Touch ID. This means a few things. Firstly, when it comes to navigation, you are going to be using swipe gestures. Now you may already be familiar with swipe gestures if you use something like the iPhone 10 or 10s or 10R, but these are now coming onto an iPad for the first time. So to go home, you do need to swipe up, and this is demonstrated here on startup. Quick access to the dock, you can swipe up from the bottom edge to show the dock and then release. To switch between recent apps, you can swipe further from the bottom edge, then release to show your recent apps. To access your control center, you can swipe down from the top right edge, and for notifications, it's down from the top left edge. As you can see, we've swiped in and now we're in. And we now have Face ID instead of Touch ID. The good thing about the iPad Pro is that Face ID works in any orientation. So on the iPhone XS and XS Max, etc., you can only use it in portrait. But on the new iPad Pro, you can also use it in landscape. So let's try this out. That was quick, it was straight in there. Now let's try landscape. It works absolutely fine. Now let's try upside down. That also works, so you can use it any way you like as long as you're not covering the camera and the sensors. Now let's talk about the display technology. It is LCD, and Apple called this a Liquid Retina display. You might have already heard that term before on the iPhone XR. It does get pretty bright, colors are very accurate, and it's also very smooth because of Apple's ProMotion technology. Now one thing that I have noticed that you might want to bear in mind is that Face ID does need to be pointing towards your face in order to work. So, I mean, I'm sitting here on the table, I try to unlock it, it doesn't work. So I kind of have to be a bit more in line. So it's not too bad, but obviously with Touch ID, you could just press it while it was on a table. This is something that you're not exactly going to be able to do with Face ID. Now let's take a look around the iPad Pro. Up front is a 7 megapixel front-facing camera with an f2.2 aperture. As far as I can tell, this is the same as what we've got on the iPhone XR, XS and XS Max. It also does support portrait mode if you want to take portrait selfies with an iPad. I personally will be using the front-facing camera more for things like FaceTime and live streaming, where I think it's going to be quite nice having this on the iPad. You've also got 5 microphones on the iPad Pro, so audio quality should really be good too. At the top, you can see 2 of those mics, and you can also see 2 speakers. We've got 2 speakers at the top and 2 speakers at the bottom, so we've got 4 stereo speakers here. Sound pretty good. On the left hand side, I can see another one of those mics. On the right hand side at the top, we've got the volume buttons. And at the bottom of the right hand side is a SIM card tray, because this is the cellular version. And in the middle of the right hand side, we have this little area which I believe is going to magnetically connect onto the Apple Pencil. Let's go ahead and take a look at that. So here it is, and this does come separately. You will have to buy it for around £130, I believe it is. So something to consider. Now, the Apple Pencil comes with some paperwork, and then I almost dropped it. Anyway, then we've got the Apple Pencil itself. It's actually got a matte finish this time, which I do like compared to the gloss finish that we had last time. And the best thing about the Apple Pencil this year, in my opinion, is that it magnetically connects onto the iPad as mentioned, but it also charges wirelessly. And once we've connected it, you can see here, would you like to use this pencil with your iPad? So, done. Nice and quick to pair this to the iPad Pro. Now, charging the new Apple Pencil in this way is of course so much better compared to the previous generation Apple Pencil, where you had the lid and then you'd have to put it into the lightning port. That was, I don't know what they were thinking there. Let's go ahead and try out the Apple Pencil. Let's see if I can still draw like I used to. Not bad, still got it. There's also a double tap feature that we've got on the Apple Pencil now. So if I double tap it, I can switch from the pen to the eraser. And in different apps, this can be customized, so you can bring up menus and things like that. This is going to be really interesting, and if you're a creative, I'm sure you're going to really appreciate this new Apple Pencil. Now, moving on to the bottom, we have that all-important USB Type-C port. This is the first time Apple have included a USB Type-C port on an iPad. And you guys probably know how excited a lot of people are about this. If you saw my reactions video after the iPad event, then you'll see that myself and all my friends were talking about USB Type-C, and that's because it opens up lots of possibilities. So not only is this USB Type-C port going to be used to charge the iPad, but you can connect it to maybe a camera to transfer images over. You can connect the iPad to a 5K display to replicate what's on here, so that's definitely quite interesting. And now there is also going to be lots of new USB Type-C dongles. So we've got a USB Type-C to SD card reader here. This is sold separately, and this of course is going to allow you to connect an SD card to the iPad Pro. So if you're somebody who's a photographer and you're out and about shooting, then you can simply pop in an SD card, stick this into the iPad Pro, and then you'll be able to transfer the files from the SD card onto your iPad to maybe edit in Lightroom or something. It doesn't stop there, however. You can also use the iPad Pro to now charge other devices. Let's try this out. Right, so I have a cable here which is USB Type-C to Lightning. This is something that you're going to have to buy separately once again. So we've got the USB Type-C side onto the iPad, and we're going to put the Lightning into the XS Max, and boom, we're charging. One thing you currently can't do is connect on maybe an external hard drive or flash storage via USB Type-C. I don't know if this is a hardware limitation or software, but it's something that would be so useful, especially for creatives and photographers and things, to be able to get files off another drive and put them back on as well. Is this something that Apple's going to enable via a software update at a later point? I'm not so sure. We'll have to wait and see. And the other thing you'll notice is that we no longer have a 3.5mm headphone jack. This is something that I know a lot of you guys were not happy about. Now, you can buy a USB Type-C to headphone jack adapter, but this is not included in the box, so that is something to bear in mind. Right, now internally, this does have Apple's A12X Bionic chip, which is crazy fast. It's so fast that no other tablet even comes close to the performance of this. So if you are somebody who's going to be doing lots of image editing, it's going to be super smooth on this. Adobe have also announced that we're going to be getting the full version of Adobe Photoshop on the iPad Pro in 2019. I personally can't wait to test that out because I'm somebody who uses Photoshop a lot, especially with the Apple Pencil. I think it's going to be really useful when it comes to designing my thumbnails and things. I can get that precision with the Apple Pencil. Right, now let's have a look at the back. There is a 12 megapixel camera with an f1.8 aperture. I personally don't think I'm going to be using this camera at all. It's also got a mic as well as a flash. Now, the important thing you'll notice here is the smart connector, which is now at the bottom, not on the side like we've had previously, and this is going to allow you to connect the iPad Pro to lots of different accessories. One of which is this, the iPad Pro Smart Folio keyboard. Let's open this up. Now inside the box there is just a smart keyboard folio case, and let's hook this up. So it should all be magnetical. Nice. So of course initially it is going to give you protection, so we've got front and back protection, and it has linked up to the smart connector. We've got two viewing angles which are also magnetical, so we can just lift this up and then we can either have it a little bit more upright or we can have it a little bit more tilted. It's going to create a new note. And you've also got lots of shortcuts, so if you hold command down, you can see all of the different shortcuts that you've got here. If you're somebody who likes to type when you're out and about, then it might be something you're going to pick up. Once again, this does come separately. It's around about £200, so just do bear that in mind. The final thing that we have is the iPad Pro Smart Folio. So this is without the keyboard, this is just the case. So this is going to protect your iPad both front and back, but you can also use it as a bit of a kickstand. So if you're watching a movie or something, then you can have it up like this. So there we have it, guys. That is the brand new iPad Pro 2018. What do you guys think of it? Definitely drop me a comment below and let me know. Let me know if there's anything else that you'd like me to cover in more detail with this. I hope you enjoyed this video and found it useful. If you did, then do hit that thumbs up button for me. And if you haven't already, then be sure to subscribe and switch on notifications. We've got lots more content coming up on here. Thanks for watching. This is Saf on SuperSaf TV, and I'll see you next time.